Hello, hello. This is Smarty Live. Discuss SEO, search, AI, everything. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. EST, like it is today. So please join us every week. While we are waiting for people to join, I'll do a little bit of introduction in case you're new here. I'm Smarty. I'm an SEO. I have been in SEO for more than 20 years now, and I've seen it all. So I can refer to what it used to be, what it is now, what's changing, and I like doing that a lot. I like doing being up to date with what's going on in our fast industry, especially this time of its evolution. I'd love to report back to you and see what you are seeing and what your opinion is, what's working for you, what you have been changing in SEO strategies. Everything is so interesting these days to me. Today and always, April, our social media director. Actually, there are a lot of hats that she's wearing with us, but she's not exactly an SEO expert, so she brings a little bit of that fresh perspective to our videos, to our live streams, talking about from a regular person, from not an SEO person angle, and asking questions. She will be the one to bring up your questions for discussion. If you have any questions, please ask. We live stream to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, YouTube, and I think Instagram is not working, but we'll address that at some point. I think the Instagram needs some verification from the Instagram app. Remind me next time to try that out. So we are live streaming to several platforms. Let us know where you are watching us from, and feel free to ask any questions. We will discuss them live. That's why these are live broadcasts. We do like having those interactions with you. Thank you for joining. Before I forget, andsmarty.com is my newsletter. Every week I announce topics for today's discussion there, so you can check it out and subscribe to have even more context to what we're discussing there and understand all the trends and tools that I'm mentioning. Before we go into today's topic, which is a very interesting one, a few quick updates from the SEO industry. First of all, the core update is still underway. Usually it takes a few weeks. I think this is maybe the third or even the fourth week of that particular update. It is different every time. Google will never tell us what they're focusing with each of their core updates. They're just saying they are changing the algorithm based on their own data to better satisfy their users. Helpful content system is part of core updates. I guess because it worked so well, they stopped doing them as separate updates and integrated them in their algorithm. So if you have suspicion that you were hit with helpful content update, it's time to check your search console and see maybe some of those clicks are back. Let's hope for that. I don't think there was ever full recovery from helpful content update yet, but sometimes with core updates we see improvements for sites that were hit with helpful content update previously. And a quick observation from our community on LinkedIn, I saw the discussion that this core update could be AI overviews focused. Many people see many more AI overviews showing up for their target queries, including commercial queries. So see if you see new AI overviews being generated for your important queries. As a reminder, there is no way to track clicks from AI overviews. We don't know which search queries trigger them until we search, and sometimes they are also different. They are often different on mobile and desktop. So try both of those. If you see more AI overviews for your important keywords, please let us know. We would love to have that statistics as well. I really haven't checked yet because I usually wait for the core update to be over to look at the data, but that's what I've heard. If there are more AI overviews showing up over this update, again, big news, we will all lose some clicks, even more clicks, because they do steal a lot of traffic, giving good answers to search queries. So if that's true, expect your search organic traffic going a little bit down or even a lot down depending on your what you are generating right now. So that's for you a reminder to keep an eye on your search clicks, and if you lost some traffic, chances are that's not you, that's AI overviews showing up for your search queries. So with that, not very good news, but we are all in the same boat, really. We are all losing clicks at this point. So we are focusing and refocusing on search queries that lead, like we give up on informational queries and we refocus all our clients to something that can lead generate, to branded search, to middle of the funnel keywords for people who are ready to buy or engage with your brand. There is a newsletter about that on nsmarty.com, so please check it out. If you are losing clicks, maybe that's what you need to do. Well, chances are that's likely what you need to do. Today we're discussing not a new topic in the SEO world. Actually, we have a very long history with this topic, but it is still even more important these days than it was 20, 15 years ago. So that's important to discuss and understand that concept, and the concept is topical authority. We've been dealing with Google trying to find the authors of content and assign some reputation to those authors based on the content they provide for many years. Back, maybe it was 15 years ago, there was author rank patent from Google and authorship, people's authors' pictures showing up in search results. At that point, it was a huge competitive advantage, a great way to increase your clickability if you have your picture next to the article that you wrote. Since then, that experiment was discontinued, but Google still continuously issuing some patents or maybe mentioning authority of writers in their documentation. So we know for sure that Google does pay attention to people behind content. They want those people to be experts in what they are saying, and they want to surface content from those experts, not from people who think they can write about those topics. That is where the concept of that topical authority comes from trying to give Google those signals that my content is trustworthy because I'm an expert. And showing that includes several steps, and I will talk about them in a few moments, but it is important for many reasons. First of all, again, helpful content strategy. Google does want to show up any content that can be trusted, and what can show Google that content is trustworthy? First of all, trustworthy backlinks. There is always that. The website does need good backlinks to be trustworthy. And second, associations with expertise. It could be trustworthy brand, it could be a lot of experts writing for that brand. And that is one piece of a puzzle. For your content to be trustworthy, you need all those things, not just an expert writer writing for your site. But it is an important part of the puzzle. It is very important, especially if you are writing on financial advice, if you provide advice to kids, if it's somehow related to health, even if it's food and dieting. If you give marketing advice, it can also be considered your money, your life topic, because bad advice can cost you a lot of money. So Google does need those signals that would show them that someone who wrote that content can talk from expertise and experience. So how do we show Google that you are an expert or your client is an expert. First of all, making sure that you have a very detailed about page on your site about that writer that lists all the awards, all the mentions, all the experience, the education. Do use schema to kind of make it easier for Google to collect that information from that about page. Over at smarty.marketing, we have person schema generator that supports authorship. So you can choose that you're an author and it will generate your schema code to use on your about page. Make sure you link all your social media profiles. Google does use those same as signals in algorithm to kind of understand where else that author is and how is it a real person. LinkedIn is a great signal for Google because it does has verification process, but also Facebook, Instagram, everything that you have should be linked from that page. Having external authorship is also a great way to kind of transfer those great branded signals to your about page as well. And that's why link to any columns, interviews that you've ever wrote for or contributed to. If it's great, if those are great websites, but you're no longer writing for them, it is still a great idea to link them from your about page to show Google that's all me, that's everywhere I wrote. And writing for a great publication is still a great idea. I know that I'm not sure how to call that. It's guest blogging, but it has a negative connotation these days. But it is writing for others, guest blogging for others, especially if those are great publications with real readership and great signals, is still a very good idea. Going out and being interviewed, contributing your quotes to some expert content or surveys, being out there on podcasts, webinars, being mentioned all over the internet is a great way to build up your topical authority as well. But also, and it is important to remember, Google doesn't understand when you have expertise on many topics. So if you, for example, are a marketing expert, but also have a productivity blog, those could be a good idea to separate those. I, for one, back when I started, have always had a lot of blogs on many topics, and I just always used different names for those other blogs, just not to confuse Google, because I do want Google to know that I'm, first of all, a marketing expert, and that's my expertise. I may have hobby blogs as well, but I'm not really a productivity expert. Those are personal blogs, personal advice. My real expertise is in marketing, and that's where I want Google to know that that's what I linked throughout all my publications. This being very narrow expert in narrow topics is a great idea. Just not just all marketing. For me, for example, it's SEO, and that's the the most articles and columns that I have all over the web are about SEO. You cannot, like, it's very seldom that I write on other topics for other people. And interviews are usually also SEO focused as well. So being focused is also a great idea, because it is hard enough for Google to understand all those dots and connect them. But if you start also trying to spread out, it will be even more difficult for Google. And I think there is even a patent about that. I did link it from my newsletter, so check it out, that talks exactly about that. They count documents you wrote and the signals to those documents you wrote on each topic separately. So you cannot be expert on many topics, and make it easy for Google to understand. So focusing on something is also a great idea. With that, I may have forgotten some steps, so please check on smarty.com. There's a long article on that, on topical authority there, for you to have more understanding of the topic. It is, again, a fundamental topic in SEO with a long history behind it, but it's also your way, if you are able to show that you're an expert to Google, it is a great way to reach that consistency in rankings. If you have your personal brand and it's an expert brand, you will not lose as much traffic over all those updates and helpful content systems and all of that. So being an expert is a great way to reach consistency in rankings for your content. So it's worth the trouble for sure. Okay, and with that, I'm ready for questions if there are any. I know Todd should have something to contribute here because that's kind of his expertise as well. Everything about branding is always a great topic to discuss with him, but I know April also had some questions and maybe she has some thoughts on that as well.
So you mentioned like in order to build topical authority, like you have to create like the right type of content, not necessarily a lot of content, but like the right type. Like how do you figure out the right type of content that your audience needs to help you establish that?
It is definitely depending on the topic. If you are an expert, if you are very deep in the topic, you probably the best to know what needs to be covered on your site to help you use it. I do usually help clients with that when I do keyword research. I always give some topics with saying that this aligns with your website. This is probably a good idea to cover these topics in this manner. Sometimes it could be a visualization, sometimes it could be a research survey, sometimes it could be expert advice, depending on your keywords and audience. Talk to your audience as well a lot, like what do they like. So providing, if it could be even a video interview with you talking about that topic and explaining it, but don't stop there, like do the takeaways, because not all of your readers or clients would watch a video. I would say in that way, do as much as you can based on your knowledge of the topic and your target audience. If you don't know which topics to cover on a particular topic, or how to satisfy people and how to help people on that topic, you may not be an expert. I would say, because if you have a deep understanding of anything, that's probably you are responsible for understanding how to make it clear and helpful to people.
We have a question from Todd.
Where do we put this person's schema on our website? On your about page. So what I do, I usually write a well-detailed article with a lot of links to person's contributions, interviews, featured mentions, awards, conference gigs, whatever I can find. The more the better. And then schema is not visible to people. I add that HTML code block on WordPress that could be different from on different content management systems, but just however you can add the code so that it's not visible, it exists just for Google. It kind of summarizes what I said before, like on top of that, but it should be consistent with what you're saying. So if you a nice idea is if you change a role or a company, or if you have new projects, don't forget to mention that not just on your about page, but also change the schema to update those details as well, because that's usually what I forget to do when I when I have a new project. I add it to my about page, but I forget that I also have schema behind the scenes that also has to reflect those details, important details as well. So it is, again, about page is a great place to put your person's schema on. Make it as detailed as you can, but also do not mention, like, there are details, crazy details that people put there, like the color of hair or whatever. Make sure it reflects the purpose of schema, and the purpose of schema is to show your expertise to Google in an easy way. For Google not to have to wonder and try to figure that out. It gives a summary of how long ago you became an SEO, for example, what your background, past and previous projects, quick description, your image. All of those are great details to add there.
Another question.
So there would need to be an about page for me individually. I mean, I guess I can add it to the Copyflate about page. Yes, that's when usually what happens is that you have an about page about the company, and that links to all different people that work for that company. This is how our Smarty Marketing site is built, and this is how usually it is done. It doesn't have to link site-wide to about page if there are many people working for the same company. If you are just one person company, like for example, on my SEOsmarty.com personal site, I just have a generic about and page, and it just there's just one about page for that site. So make sure that all your websites, if you can, of course, not all companies would list all their employees on their websites if those are big companies, but if you can, add about pages everywhere you have, on every website you are writing for or you have. Like if it's, for me, it would be SEO Smarty and Smarty.marketing. All those sites have separate about pages, unique about pages, talking about pretty much the same. I'm the same person for all, regardless of the company. But make sure that all those about page are linking, interlinking, and linking to your social media profiles, and have schema. Schema can be the same from site to site, because you want Google to know that that's one and the same person we are talking about here, but she has a lot of websites, or he has a lot of websites that she writes for.
I just wanted to comment about this. It's so much easier to write about pages for other people. I wrote the company bios for our website for everybody, and then when it came to like write it for myself, I'm like, oh god, this is so hard.
I know,
it's a fun challenge. It's
the
hard to talk about your.
Absolutely, I have the same issue. Anytime people ask me like to write about you for like conference page, or where I speak for, or write a byline for the article, and I'm always like, oh my god, even that is a trouble, because I never like, I don't it's very hard to write about yourself. I can definitely relate. And I remember April, like she wrote huge articles for about us, articles for each of us, but then when it came to her, I'm like, April, let's do that.
I tried to like dissociate and pretend I was talking about somebody else.
Yeah, still not easy. Still definitely
Yeah.
not easy, because when you write about yourself, it's everything you say somehow sounds weird. When
Yeah,
you...
it feels like I feel like I was bragging too much or something.
Mhm.
Like
I wrote so many bylines and about me paragraphs, and I'm still struggling every time, even though I've been doing that for many years. It's still the least favorite thing for me to do.
I don't know if you want to address any of the other comments. I guess so. I need to connect me to Copyflate. You want. I guess I'll just ask a question about this. Like, if you have like multiple websites, like, do you want to connect them in that way, even if like they're not like if they're all about like services that you offer? Like, will your topical authority be able to like feed into all of those if you connect them in that way?
There is no definitive answer as to how these signals float if you interlinked a lot of things within, like where it's obvious that we all have several websites. If it's all about one topic that you're an expert in, I would definitely connect all of them and allow all signals float from one site to another. In theory, it is helpful, all of them. There will be SEO people who will tell you this is diluting your authority, because some of those sites may not have great signals, so they like to dilute your authority if those sites do not have great signals. So I don't know, really. No one knows, and that's the answer to that. I don't think that there is any dilution of authority possible. To me, I would assume it can only grow with more things you do. It's not like there are negative signals to that, but that's how I think and how I look at that. But again, the only limit here that I've always had is I keep that to one topic. So if it's all SEO, yes, I will interlink those sites if they are active. Sometimes those sites can get very old very easily. Like nsmarty.com, I started contributing to last year. Before that, it hadn't been touched in 15 years. So I would probably not link to that site if it's abandoned. If it's active, if you're actively writing for a site, then yes, interlinking everything and kind of showing all those active websites is a good idea. But if they haven't been touched in many years, probably maybe even give up on that domain, or do not interlink it to everywhere, because it doesn't have any good signals to pass.
So changing gears now. So is topical authority still important in the AI-driven search landscape?
I think it's even more important these days than it ever was, because AI knowledge bases feed on what people are talking about. So if you are a recognized expert with a lot of interviews or mentions and content you wrote, then AI would know you, and there are higher chances that they will surface you in the answers. If they do not know you as an expert, then possibly there is 0 chance or maybe 1% chance that you will come up in those answers or search results. So to me, that's why I'm talking more about that topic these days even than I did 5-10 years ago, exactly because I think AI is making all these tactics, all these concepts even more important, because we do want AI to know us as experts. Otherwise, they will not easily find our content or surface us in answers. One more thing to mention here is that AI platforms, at least those that we know, recognize and love schema. And I think I did have a newsletter about that as well. They do use schema. They are very lazy at crawling. That's one thing to remember about them. They are not efficient crawlers. So if you give them more help with like schema, that is very easy format for them to understand. So using schema, person schema, is even more important in this AI world that we live in, because that's how they will be easy. You're making that easier for them to understand who you are, what you do, and why you should be in those answers or search results. So schema is important for AI as much as it is important to Google, maybe even more, because Google can figure out websites on their own. They're very good at crawling web, and they have been doing that for 20 years or more, for 30 years. I know, I forgot how many years. But AI and all of them are very insufficient crawlers. They would rather use their knowledge base than crawl your website. So making it easier for them to buy schema is also very important. I think Microsoft Copilot just last week announced that they loved and used schema, and they always did, and they encourage people to use schema for their crawler. And others, I think, also at some point confirmed that as well. So it is very important to use schema for that particular reason as well for AI search.
I don't know if you have time for another question. So like, I guess we'll do it really quickly. Like, how has AI changed how we should approach building topical authority besides schemas?
Yes, I mean, this is a great question, and there is a quick answer to that. AI search so far hasn't changed anything in how we are doing. Some priorities are shifting. For example, it is much more important to become a brand for AI search to come up in those answers than it ever was for Google. But it has always been important to be a brand. So it's just priority a little bit different. But the way we do things, backlinks are still important and very important, because that's what being used by both AI and search crawlers for ages. Content is still important, relevance is still important, brand is still important. If you've been doing things right since the beginning, then you're probably not having as much problem showing up in AI search as well. So it's not like things have changed. Nothing has changed. We've always been very pro. We've always wanted our clients to be relevant, to be brands, to be trustworthy, to have a lot of great backlinks and references, to have a lot of brand mentions. These things have always been important, and only now they are more important. That's the only thing that has changed. With that, thank you so much. Again, I didn't let April talk much. I'm sorry. Next time.
I talked a decent amount.
Yes, thank you. But I need to start doing a better job at at that for sure. With
You're
that,
the
thank you.
expert.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming today. Again, please do join us every Wednesday, 1 p.m. ST. We have lots of great topics to discuss with you and news to deliver to you that help you be up to date with everything that's happening in search. And please subscribe and smarty.com. I'm looking forward to meeting you there as well. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks,
Bye.